What's going on, my fellow A-Plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report. I am your host, as always, Adam Perez, coming back once again, ladies and gentlemen, for another stacked edition of A-Plus Hero Report, your home for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news right here, ladies and gentlemen, on especially our YouTube page, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We do have ourselves a fantastic new YouTube page for A-Plus Hero Report. If you want to go ahead and find us on social media, or I should say on YouTube, just go ahead and type in A-Plus Hero Report. We'll be right there, A-P-L-U-S Hero Report, and we'll certainly be there. Not just myself, but also my other partner in crime coming with me today once again. What's going on, Stuart? How's it going, buddy?
Going really good. I'm actually really excited for today's episode because I really love the topics that we have today. But yeah, other than that, yeah, pretty chill weekend and everything. Question for you real quick. Did you see the Dino Fury trailer at Hasbro Plus?
You know I did, man. I had to, dude. We were actually doing a live stream, a live reaction stream to the Hasbro PulseCon panel that they had for Power Rangers. So yeah, when they went ahead and actually dropped it, I was really pleased with it, man. It looks pretty good. I mean, I heard some people complaining about the idea like stock footage or whatever the case may be. I don't care what kind of footage they used. It looked really well done, well put together, honestly. So I'm pretty hyped. What'd you think, though?
Oh, I thought it was cool. I had nothing against it being stock footage. I mean, obviously they don't have anything filmed yet because they're not filming until October. And if I'm not mistaken, they did the exact same thing with Beast Morphers. You know, they made like a little teaser for it during Morphicon, and it was all stock footage. But I do like that now we kind of have like a small idea of what the plot's going to be about. So yeah, I'm pretty hyped for it.
Yeah, hopefully we'll wind up getting further details as we wind up going a little further. I mean, we still have Beast Morphers to certainly get through, and we could just tell from just the Dino Fury announcement, the fact that we only got like half a cast. I'm pretty sure there's going to be more reveals certainly later on. So maybe we get further details in regards to it. So, but yeah, I'm glad that you're here today, Stuart. I know we got a ton of topics that we're certainly going to be getting into today. Let me see here. There's actually a bunch of topics that I'm really excited to go ahead and dive into as well. But before we even get started, let me see who's actually in our live chat with us today. We got Edward Sanchez certainly coming through. So thank you very much, Edward. I always appreciate that, man. And then, guys, of course, if you want to follow us on social media, you can certainly go ahead and do so at A+ Opinions here on Facebook, Twitter, as well as Instagram, and also on Twitch for you gamers as well. So before we get into some of the topics, Stuart, I feel like this week honestly was just filled with a ton of news. Like for me, just trying to come up with at least 6 topics was no easy task because there was just so much to certainly talk about. But I do want to go ahead and throw in some honorable mentions, some things that maybe didn't necessarily make the cut, but I really want to go ahead and talk about here a little bit. You know, one of the things that we've been looking forward to is in fact Javissia Leslie, who's going to be our brand new Batwoman. We know that Batwoman has in fact started their production for the upcoming season, but the one thing that we really haven't had the opportunity to see is Javissia Leslie in a Batwoman costume. So we actually this week got our very first glimpse at her, to say the least. Not a full Batwoman suit, but at least a little bit of a tease. So let me go ahead and throw this up here for you, Stuart. I don't know if you got the opportunity to see this. I think this came out towards the later end of the week, either Friday or Saturday. But this is Javissia Leslie as Batwoman. What are your first initial thoughts, at least, from this particular photo?
I think it looks really cool. You know, nothing against Ruby Rose or anything, but you know, one of the things I always noticed with her, you know, she always had like a very thin jawline, you know, always, because you know she's just really skinny. I like how hers is just like slightly bigger, and I feel like it fits with the mask a little more. So yeah, from this little glimpse here, I already like what I'm seeing so far.
Yeah, I definitely feel as though she's going to fill out the costume nicely. Yeah, honestly, it's clearly a different figure from what Ruby Rose was. So for me, it would be really fascinating to see how they kind of refitted the costume for Javissia Leslie here. But, you know, for me, it's just okay. You know, I'm not going to lie. After talking with Indy a little bit and him, you know, talking about some of the things that jumped out at him that he wasn't the most pleased with, for me, I can definitely see where he's coming from. I think he was kind of complaining about the jaw jawline a little bit. Like for me, and one of the things that him and I talked about is the idea that he's clearly going to hold off judgment a little bit till later, till he sees it more. But I feel like I'm the same way too. Like I don't really know how to feel about it. Like I like it. I think she looks great in the cape and cowl. But I definitely want to see more before I wind up giving like all of my judgment in regards to it. Considering the fact that the costume probably looks better in live action and with movement and things like that. I really want to see what it would look properly with her more in live action instead of sort of a still photo. Now, this isn't like this is a leaked photo. This was an official image that was released by CW and things like that, really to kind of give us a glimpse. And for first impression, not bad. Not bad. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the rest of the costume certainly looks like on her, but it's definitely not going to be Ruby Rose. That's for sure, man. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing I'll mention about it that does kind of stick out about it in a bad way is definitely the lighting on the actual costume itself.
I agree.
Yeah, and that's just because like
really
with Batwoman, the show, like there's always kind of a you know, not like a heavy filter, but there's always like a slight filter on the show, and I think it really helps the costume look a lot better. So I think that's why it doesn't look as good as it could look, essentially. So I think once we actually do get to see it in motion, it's going to look a lot better.
Right. And that is fascinating you bring that up, because it is also the presentation, right? Like this feels very much like a first look behind the scenes photo. Whereas I think if maybe we had gotten one of those completely made up posters that CW usually does to promote like their show, you know, with all the added effects and the lighting and things like that, the presentation probably would look significantly different. And I'm pretty sure she probably would look a little bit different in the costume as well. So yeah, it probably is a lot to do with presentation also, but not bad for a start. I definitely want to see more, but I definitely think I do appreciate how she's certainly filling out the mask a little bit more than Ruby Rose for sure. So we'll see what happens there. We'll definitely see what happens there. And then of course the next thing, one of the things that we've been wondering, because a lot of people have kind of been wondering, are we going to get Black Widow this year? With everything that's kind of going on with the pandemic, a lot of movies unfortunately have been made to be pushed back in the schedule. And unfortunately for us, man, Marvel Studios is really kind of taking a see you later 2020. We give up, man. We're moving all of our stuff to 2021 to hopefully things get a little bit better. So we do have ourselves a brand new updated schedule for Marvel Studios certainly going forward as of right now. This comes from the direct.com where they went ahead and put together all these fantastic sort of heads up as to what we can expect from the upcoming phases here. Now, the first couple of ones that you see up here, WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, all Disney Plus television series. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is currently filming again after it shut down from the pandemic. Loki is certainly about to begin as well. And I know WandaVision says it's filming, but make no mistake, it's definitely post-production. It's ready to go ahead and drop. Disney's already made their promotion that is set to go ahead and drop in December. But one of the movies that has unfortunately been pushed back, Black Widow, that we were hoping to go ahead and get in November. Unfortunately, now Stuart, we're getting it May 7th in 2021. We've got the What If series that seemingly is going back to its regular production. And then, of course, really the two biggest movies that have in fact had to move. Shang-Chi, which I believe was set to release in February, is now being moved to July 9th of 2021. And The Eternals, which for me, this is even crazier of a jump, because Eternals, which I thought we were supposed to get early in, maybe that was February 2021. Now Eternals is coming November 5th, 2021. So almost even more than a year away now for us to actually see the Eternals movie. And I gotta admit, Stuart, this hurts, man. Like, I get it, but it definitely hurts to the core. Like, I appreciate Marvel Studios, you know, clearly wanting everybody to be safe in regards to filming. A lot of this, unfortunately, though, is the fact that they don't even know when movie theaters are going to be opening. So they're not exactly sure, you know, when can we release our movies. They clearly want to try to make as much money as they possibly can. So thus probably moving a ton of stuff into the summer and later in 2021. But Stuart, this stings a little bit, man, right? What are your thoughts in regards to this, though?
Fully agree. Although I do need to correct you on one thing.
Go for it.
Eternals was actually supposed to be released November of this year originally.
Of this year?
Yeah. So I do find it weird that they bumped that. Like, so Shang-Chi's going to be coming out before it. And I wonder if maybe it was because during the pandemic when they had to stop production, maybe they just had like different ideas for the film and they figured timeline wise, it might work better if it comes after Shang-Chi. But yeah, who knows? But yeah, no, that was supposed to be coming out this year.
That strikes to the core even more, man. That really hurts. That really hurts to know that. You know, I will be fascinating and listen, I will be really fascinated to see what happens, at least in regards to Warner Brothers side of things. Now, Warner Brothers does have Wonder Woman that's still set, I believe, December, Christmas actually of this year. It'll be interesting to see if they keep that particular day or they push further back into 2021 also. But I got to think that this probably really hurts the movie theaters also in regards to it. The idea of just, you know, I heard one of the chairmen either from Cinemark or AMC or somebody came out and talked about the idea. Oh, the chairman of NATO. I think it's like the movie theaters out in here or something like that. But he was saying the idea of not having big movies could really hurt the industry in regards to the movie theaters. That idea that they may have to kind of shut down again because the theaters do need those big blockbuster movies. Like it's okay for them to maybe showcase, you know, older movies and movies that people have already seen, but you really want to have these big movies to drive audiences back in. As somebody who works at a movie theater, how important are these Marvel movies and big tentpole movies to a movie theater?
Really important because currently at our theater, we are showing like a bunch of older movies. Although you do have to kind of rent out the theater to watch them. But it's if you have a good big group of people, it's actually not very expensive. It's $100. You get an entire theater to yourself, basically. And you get movies like I don't know if Back to the Future is still one of them, but Matrix, I think, is still one of the options. Jurassic Park, and recently, what just got added to that list was Empire Strikes Back. But with all that being said, we were super busy last weekend with this new kind of thing going for it. Completely dead this weekend. So I think it was just one of those things where the hype was big, but then after the hype kind of came of us reopening, then it just died down again. So even with us having like all these really big movies out there, it's still not quite enough to keep us going. So it's one of those things where Cinemark itself wasn't a multi-million-dollar corporation. If we were just a small independent business, like our theater specifically, yeah, we would be screwed.
Oh my goodness, man. Well, I'm definitely hoping that something is certainly figured out for some movie theaters. I definitely feel as though at this point, probably everybody's hoping that at least maybe Warner Brothers sticks around with some of their particular releases also to maybe help the movie industry. Hopefully until until the other Marvel movies wind up dropping as well. So we'll definitely see. Excuse me. We'll definitely see what happens there.
One movie that's going to make the biggest difference, I think, because I think our plan is kind of we're waiting till November to really see what happens. The movie that's going to make the biggest difference is No Time to Die. Like if they decide to move that. Yeah, exactly. Because, you know, I think this is going to be like one of the biggest James Bond movies ever because it's not only is it Daniel Craig's last one, it's also like the 30th Bond film. So it's like kind of so it's kind of a big deal. So it's like if they decide to move that movie back, I think that will be the biggest deciding factor of this year.
Man, and honestly, I haven't even been to the movie theaters yet. I've been telling myself I wouldn't mind trying to go. I just haven't had the time to, unfortunately. But yeah, man, it would definitely be a major hit. So hopefully something falls into place for the movie theaters so that they can continue to stay open. So, but other than that, guys, I think that's probably going to wrap it up for the honorable mentions. We'll definitely go ahead and jump into your guys' comments and things like that as we go through some of these storylines. So, Stuart, are you ready to go ahead and tackle this day, man?
I am indeed.
All right, awesome, man, awesome. So the first topic, ladies and gentlemen, that I would definitely want to go ahead and get into, listen, you know, if you are a subscriber on Amazon Prime, one of the standout television shows on there is the original series in The Boys. We are currently into season 2. I think maybe we're probably like the halfway mark, if not a little bit further along in season 2. And I got to tell you, man, it's picking up right where season 1 left off, and one of my favorite shows of the year for sure. Spectre, just a television show that continues to make my jaw drop and just be in awe every single time I watch it. I mean, they continue to up themselves. But I'm not the only person that has gone on to enjoy this incredible season. So much and so that the success of The Boys has now officially set off a spin-off television series, 2 seasons in, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and dive into this. This actually comes to us from Deadline, letting us know that The Boys spin-off is put on fast-track development at Amazon following the Mothership's Records Season 2 launch. It says Amazon superhero series The Boys is getting a spin-off set in superhero college. It says the project, written by The Boys executive producer Craig Rosenberg, has been in works for a while. It is being fast-tracked in the light of the success of the original series' 2nd season, which marked the most watched global launch of an Amazon original series ever. The Boys' 1st season already had set a high viewership mark for Amazon when it debuted in 2019. In its first 2 weeks, season 2 has already doubled the season 1 worldwide audience, drawing millions of new viewers each and every week. So in regards to more details about the series, it does say that set at America's only college exclusively for young adult superheroes and run by Vought International. It says the Untitled Boys spinoff is described as irreverent, R-rated series that explores the lives of hormonal competitive soups as they put their physical, sexual, and moral boundaries to the test, competing in the for the best contracts in the best cities. Part college show, part Hunger Games, with all the heart, satire, and the raunch of The Boys. Stuart, what are we getting ourselves into, man, with this series? It sounds off the wall. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. Like, first impression, this sounds like a rated R My Heroes Academia when I think about this. The idea of the people being in school training to be a superhero. You want the best contracts in the best cities so you can get the most recognition, just with all the craziness that is The Boys. And I cannot wait for this. Is it just me that just thinks that this spinoff series is going to be off the wall? What are your thoughts, Stuart?
It's going to be off the wall, and just seeing how The Boys has handled interesting social commentary, both the previous season and this season, by using like some of the most clever metaphors I think I've ever seen in any superhero show. I can't wait to see what they do with a college spinoff show, because I feel like, knowing the writing that we've gotten so far, if it's that same kind of creative writing that we get, more than likely, we'll get that kind of same like social commentary meta narrative, but talking about, I guess it's going to be like more directly at like college universities in the US. And I'd love to see their take on that, because I'm personally a guy who's kind of against like the way college is set up, like in the US specifically. It just kind of seems like unfair the way it's like meant for, like, you'll have a better chance of not only getting to college but also passing it if you like have a higher income. That's kind of what it just feels like it's meant for. And I love the idea of it being that, except for with superheroes. So it's kind of like, I feel like the way they're going to kind of go with that is the idea of, depending on if you just were lucky and born with cooler powers, you're just going to end up like, being able to get into this type of college, or this college will be able to give you better contracts to other cities. That's my guess anyways. There's so many directions they could take a show like this. And yeah, I just hope like at least the creative team behind this, at least they keep some of the creative writers so that we can still get that really good writing that and have it all continue.
Yeah, it definitely does feel as though, I mean, just reading the article, it feels like they're going to keep a lot of the same people that worked on The Boys, bringing them kind of over also. I know clearly the executive producers. So I feel like the vision certainly will be the same, and it'll definitely, at least I'm hoping that'll certainly feel like The Boys to a certain extent. But I do like the concept that you kind of create of like the college hierarchy, the politics of having to get into college and some of the favors and how some people are. Like, for me, like when I think about this, like I wonder, are they going to have like fraternity groups and things like that, like for superheroes? Like how crazy exactly is this going to get? Like the idea of like, oh, if your superpowers, super popular, or you know, maybe you'll get more recognition because you can do cooler things? Or what happens with, like, is there like a corner of losers that like can't really do anything, like with have like the lowest set type of powers? Like, I really want to see how this is all formulated. We're gonna have like our superhero bullies and stuff, like jocks. Like I can just imagine it already, just because of all the personalities that we've seen you know, in the boys already. So definitely grounded in real world, and I would be fascinated to see what their take is going to be like of you know, our culture, but with superpowers in college. And I cannot wait to see what they come up with. So I think this is a brilliant idea. Do you think too fast for them to go ahead and create a spinoff, or do you think, hey man, 2 seasons in, it's popular, why not take advantage of this?
I think it actually is, it makes a lot more sense to do this now. And I'd say that because I feel like a lot of other spinoff shows with really popular shows, like, for example, Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, I feel like the spinoff shows begin to happen once the hype for a show dies down. And so therefore, like, you know, you've already got like your viewership like majorly declining. So it's like once that audience is gone, that's when they introduce the spinoff show. So it means like, you know, you only have a small viewership as it is, and you got to also assume that that small viewership you have even cares to check it out. So, you know, because I feel like that's like the issue with The Walking Dead, and that might also end up being the issue with Game of Thrones when that spinoff comes out. But you know,
that might even be the issue for like, I mean, the idea that we had a show like Arrow for so many years, and then you know, as we get to the end of that series and we try, you know what I'm saying, like maybe if we tried to do that 2 or 3 years earlier, maybe we definitely would have had a pickup. I mean, I think we're maybe still sitting on that, but I think I get what you're talking about though.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think that it'll do good regardless, though, because I feel like The Boys definitely has like its big audience right now. You know, whether you're for whatever your reason people are watching the show, whether it's because they love that meta narrative or it's because they just love a really fun superhero show, you know. And I feel like doing a college route with that is you know, pretty brilliant in a lot of ways. Just give us Monsters University, you know, the same exact plot with superheroes.
I like it. I like it. But hey, listen, guys, listen, at the end of the day, we definitely want to know your thoughts in regards to this. The Boys is getting a college spin-off television series, Saved by the Bell, the college years, but with superpowers. Who certainly knows? Definitely go ahead and let us know your levels of excitement for this in the live stream or the comment section box below after the live stream, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go ahead and get on to the next topic here, Stuart. What is my next topic? Oh, yeah, here we go. Let me go ahead and get this set up. You know, one of the I will say this, Stuart. I'm actually really looking forward to quite a few of the upcoming Marvel television series that we wind up having over at Disney Plus. One of the characters, though, that I certainly was not expecting to potentially see get one of their own is, in fact, Nick Fury. But I got to tell you, man, the return of Samuel L. Jackson certainly sounds quite fantastic if you ask me. This actually comes to us from Variety.com, letting us know that Samuel L. Jackson is set to play Nick Fury in the new Marvel Disney Plus series exclusive. It says Samuel L. Jackson is set to reprise the role of Nick Fury in a new Marvel series currently in development at Disney Plus. Variety has learned exclusively from sources. The exact plot details of the show are being kept under wraps, but multiple sources say Jackson is attached to star, with Kyle Bradstreet attached to write and executive produce. Like all the other Marvel shows at Disney Plus, Marvel will produce. It says, trying to see if it says spoiler alert for those of you who want to catch up on to what's Nick Fury been up to lately. So spoiler alert here if you haven't seen Far From Home. It says the last time fans saw Fury was in the post-credit scene of Far From Home when he was on board a Skrull ship somewhere in deep space is the last time that we've seen him. So the list of Marvel television shows on Disney Plus certainly continue to grow for sure. I certainly was not expecting to see Samuel L. Jackson get a show of his own, but considering just who Samuel L. Jackson is, his name, his fame, it certainly makes sense. And I'm also going to say this too, Stuart. I've been really fascinated to kind of know what is Nick Fury up to. You know, I feel like we haven't really had a major involvement from this character since like Age of Ultron, it feels like. like. Like he's maybe kind of been sprinkled in here from time to time, but I feel like he's always kind of been put on the back burner as far as his full involvement in the MCU. And so for me to kind of see him have a role of his own here, I don't even know how many episodes this series is going to be, 6 to 8. I would be fascinated to see at what time period this is taking place for Nick Fury. I'm kind of hoping that it's more of a current timeline, but I would love to see Samuel L. Jackson's face a little bit more just in the MCU in general. And so if this is an opportunity for us to get more of Nick Fury, see S.H.I.E.L.D. or maybe the Agents of S.W.O.R.D. kind of pushed forward, whatever the case may be, I really want to see more Nick Fury involvement in the MCU and him have a big role in setting up, you know, not necessarily the next phase, but at least having a significant role, maybe moving a little bit forward. I mean, it is Samuel L. Jackson. He is getting a little bit older. I'm sure he's doing other things in his career, but I mean, it's Nick freaking Fury. He's had such a great impact on the MCU. I'm really looking forward to this particular series. So now that you have heard about this, Stuart, what are your thoughts in regards to the idea of us getting a Nick Fury Disney Plus series? Do you think that it's a good move for their part? Are there anything that you're speculating as to what we could see in this particular series? What are your thoughts, man?
No, I'm really excited for this. What's cool about Nick Fury is that, yeah, he's always been that connective tissue, but he's always also had like this big mystery behind him throughout like his entire run in the MCU. The only time we really got that much answers into like his whole past and just who he is as a person was in Captain Marvel. So I do like the idea of having a whole show to really explore his character a lot more. Personally, what I'm kind of hoping we get from it, I would like to see it, the show mostly taking place like, modern MCU, like whatever's currently going on in the MCU, that's when it takes place. But I would like it if it also had like sprinkles of flashbacks, like of, when he joined S.H.I.E.L.D. originally, kind of things like that.
Oh, I do like that idea for sure. I'm a sucker for a good flashback, honestly. I don't know if it was Lost that got me into the usage of flashbacks and I just got sucked into them, but I love me a good flashback in a television show. So maybe we can get some of those callbacks to the previous Marvel phases. For me, I'm in agreement with you. I definitely would like to see something more current. One of the biggest things that I've been kind of wondering, especially with the release of Captain Marvel, I really have been wanting a Secret Invasion kind of storyline. The idea of that there's still Skrulls that are on Earth that are, really in pivotal positions, kind of making big moves, if you will, and them being discovered or whatever the case may be. Like the idea of maybe some Skrull superheroes. I've always been a big fan of that storyline, and one of the things that I feel as though while we didn't necessarily get that in the Captain Marvel movie, it is something that I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe build towards, whether that be in future Captain Marvel movies or in a bigger crossover event or whatever the case may be. But if he's going to get his own series, man, I would love to kind of see maybe that storyline explored a little bit more, right? Like we haven't seen Nick Fury utilize that much, at least in our current time period. So, the idea of Nick Fury maybe going undercover, putting together a new team of his own, if you will, the Secret Warriors from the comic books. Let's get even more nerdy Marvel, right? Like let's continue to just bring in other characters into these upcoming new phases. And I would really love to see him kind of establish that team and really establish something that's going to be impactful in the MCU, certainly going forward. And in one of those characters for the Secret Warriors is in fact Quake. I believe it's Daisy Johnson herself from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And for me, while I've definitely have fallen off the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. bandwagon over the years, one person I would honestly love to see kind of moved over into the MCU if they ever were going to make a connection, I think would be Chloe Bennett. I think that would be a really great addition because look, man, we did see in Avengers Endgame, they did at least pay nod to one of the Marvel television shows in Agent Carter by having Jarvis there. So there was at least that brief sort of recognition of the television shows. So maybe they could utilize this as a great opportunity to bring somebody like a Chloe Bennett in for her, right? Maybe as a passing of the torch for Nick Fury, right? I'm pretty sure Samuel L. Jackson loves playing Nick Fury, but maybe he doesn't want to play him forever, if you will, right? Let's start going ahead and building up a new generation of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. members or Sword members, whatever the case may be. I would love to see something like that. Do you think something like that's even possible? Do you think the movies would recognize the television show and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., or what are your thoughts, Stuart?
I would hope so. It's really hard for me to say for sure, though, because I know like the whole thing that you brought up with Endgame, that was only really done because Agent Carter had like some of the movie producers actually working on it, whereas Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was like really separated in terms of the writing staff. But I would love to see it happen. I would love her to return to the MCU, and I'm sure the actress herself would love to return too if it meant, you know, fighting alongside with Nick Fury and all that. You know, and plus, yeah, just Secret Warriors in general, I think would be awesome. And even if they don't like fully, even if the show isn't about Secret Warriors, if they wanted to set up a Secret Warriors TV show or a movie separately, like I feel like a Nick Fury series would be the perfect way to do so.
Yeah, and considering just how all these series are connected, you know, at least according to Kevin Feige and them, I would be fascinated to kind of see like what movie either leads into a Nick Fury series or where the Nick Fury series would lead, like what movie it would certainly lead into next. And for something like that, that definitely excites me to kind of see what the possibilities are certainly going to be for that. Because for me, I don't know, I just think Nick Fury is a really great sort of gateway to other characters and some really important storylines that he has impact on. And again, Samuel L. Jackson is such a talented actor. If you can get the opportunity to have him, you know, reprise his role as Nick Fury, I definitely think you take it. Definitely not the Disney series I expected, but after we wind up getting the announcement, I'm like, hey, as long as it's not David Hasselhoff again, give it to me, man. Give it to me. Did you ever see the Nick Fury, David Hasselhoff film?
No, but I know about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like I think it was like a TV movie, if I'm not mistaken. I do remember seeing like the growing up as a kid, seeing the ads and promos for it. Because I can't. I'm pretty sure I was old enough to actually watch it when it came on. But yeah, David Hasselhoff, thank you for Baywatch. But anyway, but yeah, listen, guys, we definitely want to know your thoughts. Do you have any last words in regards to the Nick Fury stuff?
It's going to be really a really big challenge to write an entire TV series starring Samuel Jackson and not having the F word in it. I don't know, if I was writing that show, I'd probably give up after the first episode. It's like, I have Samuel Jackson in this, but I can't have him swear. This isn't okay.
I wonder how many attempts he's gonna have in this series. Like I think Samuel L. Jackson is going to try to drop an MF or line and then get stopped short. So I'm wondering if we get one every episode. You think that's just going to be a running thing for Nick Fury?
I feel like we'll definitely have one in the season. I don't think they would do it one every episode, but like I feel like at some point it'll be just like at the end of Infinity War, you're going to hear him say "mother," and then he's going to get cut off.
Yeah, it'll definitely happen. It'll definitely happen. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, we definitely want to know your thoughts. Now that you know that there's a Nick Fury Disney Plus series in the works with Samuel L. Jackson possibly returning, what are your thoughts in regards to any expectations, any things that you would certainly like to see? Go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic. Stuart, we're going to dive deep into some DC talk today, man, from movies to television shows. I got to tell you, man, the news that came out this week in regards to DC really floored me. And there's just a ton of momentum on their side right now and some really big announcements that are coming out. So let's have some fun with this DC talk, honestly. The first stuff that we want to talk about is actually one of my most anticipated projects of 2021, and that is, in fact, Zack Snyder's Justice League that's set to go ahead and release on HBO Max. One of the things that we've heard about in the past from some of the other sources and news sources and things like that, that they were going to be putting at least maybe $30 million or so towards finishing off Zack Snyder's vision of this particular film. Well, it's starting to come out now that it's going to cost a little bit more than $30 million. And that's probably because of the fact that they plan on filming perhaps some additional scenes here for the upcoming Justice League movie. Now, this comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter, letting us know that Zack Snyder's planning new Justice League shoot amid the Ray Fisher claims. Now, I do want to go ahead and just kind of throw out a side note here. There is another article out there from Collider.com that's kind of maybe questioning the validity of this just a little bit in a certain way. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But this comes from The Hollywood Reporter, saying that in October, director Zack Snyder will roll cameras for his extended cut of Justice League, working for Warner's Media's HBO Max division on restoring his version of the 2017 movie that he exited because of a family tragedy. The shoot, which will turn the Snyder Cut into a 4-episode limited series, is expected to bring back Ben Affleck as Batman, Henry Cavill as Superman, and Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman for new scenes. Also set to reprise, or also set to appear on the call sheet for what is expected to be a week or so long shoot, is Ray Fisher as Cyborg. So big news coming out of the development. I think right now that they're assuming it's probably now going to cost about maybe $70 million to go ahead and actually do this particular film. And so now, while the call sheet here does say Ben Affleck as Batman, Henry Cavill as Superman, and Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, I am seeing an article from Collider.com that's saying Henry Cavill made mention that he's actually not shooting any new scenes. But the article also said that that interview was taken prior to the Hollywood Reporter news being received. So people right now don't know if Henry Cavill was telling the truth about no new footage being shot, or if he was just simply keeping his lips sealed until this particular story wind up dropping. So it's a little bit all over the place, but regardless if Henry Cavill is showing up or not, I think the idea here that Warner Brothers is putting more money towards this Justice League shoot has got to be a good thing. You know, the idea of creating a 4-part miniseries, I have always been fascinated as to what are the cliffhanger moments that are going to be in these episodes, right? Because I don't necessarily know if you just play like an hour or 50 minutes of it, and then wherever that scene ends, you just wrap it up, right? Like, I feel like maybe there has to be maybe some new shots that are involved to maybe kind of help build those cliffhanger momentums. Maybe they just kind of come back in and they rework some of the same scenes that they just did. So I'm trying to still figure out, like, are these reshoots, or is this like new additional sort of photography, if you will? Like, are they really adding new scenes in here, or are they just kind of reworking some of the stuff that they already have together and things like that? So I will be fascinated to see what this means. But if you're telling me Warner Brothers is going to add more money to this to make whatever kind of Justice League shoots happen, this has got to be great news, not only for the Justice League movie, but maybe what it means for WB's faith in what Zack Snyder is certainly doing behind the scenes and having his vision seen this way. So let me come to you here, Stuart, in regards to this. What does this particular article mean to you when you read some of the news that you hear here?
I kind of figured this would happen, even though they originally said it was just going to be a re-edit, only because like I remember hearing that his cut wasn't actually finished being shot. So that's why until like the actual Snyder cut was, you know, kind of released or announced that it was going to get released, I didn't really even think it was actually real, honestly, when people were saying release the Snyder cut. Like, yes, I knew there was like probably a good chunk of footage all directed by Zack Snyder exclusively, but I didn't think it was enough to make like a full-length feature. And I think what they were initially planning, or at least what Warner Brothers was initially initially planning was to, when they released the Snyder Cut, to use just, shots that they already shot, but, sprinkle in like a few Whedon cuts or a few Whedon shots that they needed to do in order to make it a complete story. But I think because of how much hype there is around the Snyder Cut, and with how much like Zack Snyder has actually expressed that he doesn't want to use any Whedon footage, I think this is like changed Warner Brothers' mind, and that's why they're willing to let him do a few more reshoots in order to make it so it'll be a complete narrative. And I think, like you also brought up a good point too, is that they now have a new format that they're releasing this in a 4-part miniseries. So I feel like, rather than just cutting it off every hour, they actually want to make it seem like each episode individually has an ending. So like, whether it be like a cliffhanger ending or something else. So yeah, this all makes a lot of sense to me, and it's something that I figured Warner Brothers would be changing their mind about anyway. So I'm not like too surprised. As for the other thing that you mentioned with Henry Cavill saying that he wasn't doing any reshoots, but now he is. Mm-hmm. Dude, it's Hollywood. People change their minds all the time. Things get changed up last minute all the time. So, Henry Cavill might have been telling the truth when he was being interviewed at that moment. Like at that moment, he probably didn't know he was going in for reshoots. But yeah, probably he was reached out to a little bit afterwards, and they're like, "Hey, you want to come?" It'd be funny if it was that same day. Actually, Henry, would you be interested in coming back?
Yeah, for sure. Like I can imagine him giving an interview, and then a couple hours later going to finding out online that he's got reshoots ready. Like, oh crap, I do. Okay, I haven't even heard from my agent yet, but all right. But yeah, I think the Collider.com was just simply stating, because of the fact that he is currently filming The Witcher, that maybe like scheduling wise, it certainly wouldn't it would be difficult for him to be able to do that, especially with having to quarantine with his travels and whatnot, at least for like just like a week of shooting, if you will. So I think that's what they were certainly trying to say, but we'll see. I think regardless though, I think this is really great for the Snyder Cut. It's really cool to kind of see some of these actors coming back and picking up their mantles again, if you will, again, even if it is new scenes or just to kind of rework what they've already kind of done. I'm really eager for it. Like for me, this almost makes me feel like, Stuart, like if they're really going out of their way to make this a complete and put together film, this really makes me feel like Warner Brothers almost wants this to kind of be now their new definitive sort of Justice League. Like it doesn't feel like this is like, oh, this is a little side project. Zack Snyder, he's got his vision. We're just going to throw him some money so he can, put some stuff together, release it for you guys. But now that they're throwing almost $100 million towards this, like 70 million, I believe is the number that I've been hearing, it makes me feel as though they're like, you know what? Maybe we kind of like what we have here. Let's kind of let Zack Snyder finish his vision and really kind of make this, especially if it's successful, the new definitive one. Because I just don't think that you put that kind of money towards something you don't have faith in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually fully agree with you. I remember, I feel like we've talked about this on Hero Report a lot, which is the idea of which Justice League is going to be the canon Justice League, I guess you could say, going forward for like future DC projects. And I don't know, just seeing how much money that they're putting into this, and then just seeing how like the cast and crew all prefer this one. And not only that, but even Patty Jenkins, who isn't even the director, she even mentions like this is kind of the Justice League she thinks of when she writes a Wonder Woman. It does make me think that, yeah, this might actually be the canonical Justice League once it comes out.
And for me, it just makes me wonder, like, and one thing that we have talked about before, because we've mentioned this, the idea, like, if this is successful, the idea and the notion of maybe like Zack Snyder kind of coming back into the WB fold, right? Getting him to further tell the stories that maybe he certainly wants to. And, I think that may be like jarring for some people to kind of hear like, oh, the idea of bringing Zack Snyder back. But like for me, it would just simply be, I think he has such a great creative mind that he can continue to help them build this particular universe, but they can still do the things that they are already doing, right? Like I feel like DC has their feet under them, have an idea of where they want to take their particular cinematic universe, you know, by exploring the multiverse and things like that. You know, we saw their perfect example at the DC fandom when we saw that panel, really where the mindset of the film side of things certainly is. So I think you could still be that broad in your approach, and still have somebody like a Zack Snyder on board to kind of help you mold that universe that you've kind of set in motion, right? Like, not every film has to be directed and written by Zack Snyder, right? But maybe executive produced and things like that, you know what I mean, to help mold this particular universe of theirs. What are your thoughts in regards to that? Do you think that's a possibility, or do you think that this is truly going to be a one-off and nothing's going to come out of it?
It's a possibility. I don't know if I like it that much, only because this may sound very contradicting, because, you know, I am really looking forward to the Snyder Cut, so don't get me wrong.
Oh, definitely.
I also am not a fan of Zack Snyder's Batman v Superman, and I just thought Man of Steel was okay. Like, I didn't think Man of Steel was bad, but I still think Batman v Superman was probably one of the worst superhero movies like ever written, if I'm being honest. So it's like, I wanted this Snyder Cut to come out for the sake of, I want to see a Justice League movie that someone actually like put passion into, rather than just the super generic formulaic Justice League that we got, you know, back in 2017. You know, and I wouldn't mind if Zack Snyder continued directing. I just don't know if I'd want him back, like, as a writer, essentially, for future Justice League movies. But yeah, executive producer and director, I'm totally down for, because I do think he's a really good director, because, like, Watchmen is one of my favorite, you know, superhero films of all time.
Yeah, and again, and this is just us kind of speculating on what would happen with the success of Justice League. But if anything, I'm really feeling like we just said, Stuart, the idea of them putting all this money towards it, it definitely feels as though if it is a success, this is probably going to be like the Justice League movie that really is sort of the solid hold, the firm, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Just the foundation, if you will, for the DCEU certainly going forward, is really what I'm kind of feeling like we're probably going to get here. But we'll see what happens, guys. What are your thoughts in the idea of them doing some either new additional photography or some sort of reshoots? Because it looks as though Zack Snyder is trying to get some of the band back together for his particular cut of the Justice League. So definitely let me know your guys' thoughts in regards to that in the live stream or the comment section box below. What's up, Stuart?
One last thing I wanted to say.
Yeah,
I am really glad, though, seeing like these reshoots happening. I'm really glad to know that everything going on with, you know, Ray and Warner Brothers in particular. I'm glad that Warner Brothers is like willing to still like swallow their pride and still allow him to come on set to do some more reshoots.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I mean, listen, we still haven't even heard from Ray Fisher in regards to this, right? Like, who knows? Maybe next week he'll probably be like, you know what? Not until those investigations continue. Like, he may not. He may not. Like, just based off of this article, they're just simply assuming that, you know, he is on the roll call. They do want him to come in. Whether or not Ray Fisher shows up, who certainly knows. But listen, I will say this. I think it's one of those things. Like, if I don't want to say if I'm Ray Fisher, because I've never been, unfortunately, I've never been in his shoes or his position. But considering his love for Zack Snyder, I feel like if Zack Snyder picked up the phone and said, "Hey, Ray, I know you're having your issues and your situation with Warner Brothers, but let's make this movie happen still." I feel like Ray Fisher would be there in a heartbeat to help Zack Snyder finish putting this together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. Is like I can see him doing it for Zack Snyder, not for Warner Brothers. But the thing that I'm kind of happy about is like that on Warner Brothers' part, you know, they're the ones that are willing to like, you know, have him come back and aren't like, you know, stopping him from coming back, you know, despite everything going on. So I think, you know, for the most part, like obviously with everything kind of going on behind the scenes, like, yeah, I do think it's really douchey. Everything like Warner Brothers has been kind of like, excuse me, posting like in response to Ray. But I do like that they're at least like letting him come back, you know, for these reshoots, and they're not trying to be like, oh, hey, we're only letting you come back if you promise to like make a tweet apologizing, or, you know, because yeah, that's stuff that I've seen like happen so many times with other Hollywood productions. So I'm glad they're not doing that in this case, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. He's not having to sell himself out to just to get a role in there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. But I'm super excited for this, guys. But definitely let us know your levels of excitement as well in the live chat or the comment section box below. And then let's go ahead and get into our next topic here. We're gonna go ahead and continue along here with some DC movie talk, ladies and gentlemen. There is another highly anticipated DCEU film that's set to go ahead and drop. The Suicide Squad by none other than James Gunn himself, the writer and director from Guardians of the Galaxy, making his move over to the DCEU for the time being. And listen, you know, last month, or for DC fandom, we ended up getting ourselves a really fantastic look at the Suicide Squad, from the cast reveals to the teaser trailer that we wind up getting, the not the teaser trailer, but like the behind the scenes featurette and stuff. I mean, really, just really grabbed everybody's sort of imagination and grabbed everybody's attention with a huge lineup of characters. One of those particular characters that certainly stood out to many was, in fact, the John Cena character in The Peacemaker. While we haven't even seen this movie, it's already been getting like sort of rave reviews, if you will, from the executives and people behind the scenes from that have in fact worked on the Suicide Squad. So there is a ton of anticipation for this movie, so much so that it seems as though we're actually going to have ourselves a spin-off series also. This comes to us from comingsoon.net, letting us know that The Peacemaker, the Suicide Squad spin-off series, is coming to HBO Max, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. John Cena has scored himself a television series. It says, "Oh, it's Peacemaker." HBO Max is set to explore the origins of the Peacemaker character, the master of weapons, from the highly anticipated upcoming The Suicide Squad film in the new Max original action adventure comedy series, Peacemaker. HBO Max has given a straight to series order of 8 episodes for the first season of the show. John Cena will reprise his role from the Suicide Squad movie to star in the series, and the film's acclaimed writer-director James Gunn will write all 8 episodes of The Peacemaker and will direct multiple episodes, including the first. So James Gunn is even getting his hands dirty in regards to this. It says, while details about The Peacemaker are being kept under wraps, the series will explore the origins of the character that Cena will play in the upcoming film, a man who believes in peace at any cost, no matter how many people he has to kill to get it. The series will extend the world that Gunn is creating for the Suicide Squad movie, which is scheduled to be released in theaters August 6th of 2021. Now, this is a couple quotes here from after the announcement was made, but James Gunn says Peacemaker is an opportunity to delve into current world issues through the lens of this superhero slash supervillain slash and the world's biggest douche bag. I'm excited to expand the Suicide Squad and bring this character from the DC film to the full breadth of a series, and of course to be able to work again with John, everybody else, blah, yada yada yada. And John Cena says, I've said this before, that has been a tremendous honor and an incredible opportunity to be a part of the Suicide Squad and to work with James on what is going to be a fantastic movie in regards to the movie itself. So Stuart, John Cena, James Gunn working together again. We haven't even seen the Suicide Squad movie, but the fact that the Peacemaker now is getting a television series of his own, one, has got to mean great things for John Cena's hopeful performance as Peacemaker, but also that Suicide Squad is actually a relatively great film. I'm really looking forward to it. So, Stuart, now that you hear this news, I got to throw this over to you, man. What are your thoughts in regards to this?
It's hard for me to get hyped yet, just because I haven't seen Suicide Squad, the movie yet, and so I don't know how John Cena's character is, but I do like the concept of what they're going for. You got the douchebag Captain America, and it seems like they're using this spinoff show as kind of it sounds the way that James Gunn has described it, like it's going to be like The Boys, but in the DC universe, and then centering around just one character who, again, kind of that Captain Homelander type character, where it's like it's almost like a parody of Captain America, if that is the way he plays it, which it definitely seems that way. So I'm definitely intrigued. I can't really quite say I'm hyped for it yet, just because I don't know what to expect. Like, I think after I see Suicide Squad and I actually like see John Cena in action in that movie, I think I might have a little more hype for it, but we'll have to wait and see.
Now, they did go ahead and actually drop this promo photo, a little promo artwork for the upcoming Peacemaker television series on HBO Max. So when they announced the series itself, they did go ahead and drop this. I mean, look at that jawline from John Cena. That John Cena jawline is famous, man. But listen, you know, I'm going to say that I haven't even seen Suicide Squad, but I'm so hyped for this. And I'll tell you why. First off, John, James Gunn did talk about this a little bit further. He did say that he actually wrote this during the pandemic. He said because he had so much extra time on his hand because of the pandemic, he found himself just sitting down and writing a ton. He said that the executives actually approached him and said, "Hey, if there's any particular character like out of this particular film that you would want to do a spin-off series, which character would be?" And he said it was the Peacemaker. And he said he spent his because he had already written some stories for the Peacemaker during the pandemic. So he clearly utilized his time extremely wisely. So I'm so glad that he wound up doing that. But what really gives me hope for this, not only just the breakdown and the description of what this series is certainly going to be, but because it does sound fun, but the fact that it's an action adventure comedy, I feel is something that can really be right up the alley for somebody like a John Cena. Like, I don't think that he's the best actor in the world whatsoever, but I think when you're working with James Gunn, like, you don't even need to be so much. Like, you can look at somebody like a Dave Bautista and see what he's done with Drax. Like, James Gunn just, I think, has a really great way of working with his actors, understanding certainly what their limits are, and then really putting them in really great positions to certainly succeed and really sort of get the best out of them. And I think just seeing somebody like Dave Bautista as Drax, I think has really helped Dave Bautista's career, because I think it's allowed people to see what he's capable of doing, sort of thing. And so, like, when you look at somebody like a John Cena's career, yeah, while he's not out here winning Oscars, I feel like some of the movies that I have seen him in have kind of suited what like that type of like arrogant sort of personality, if you will, right? Like that douchebag just a little bit. I can't remember. He was in a movie with Amy Schumer. I can't remember, playing like her boyfriend. I can't remember the name of the movie. Do you recall what it might have been, Stuart?
No idea.
And then he was in like another movie like Cock Blockers or whatever the case may be. But he does these films where there are comedic aspects. Like, he has to have comedic chops or comedic timing and things like that. And I do think that when John Cena is put in that type of role, he can kind of really make it work. So now that you have somebody like a James Gunn to kind of mold him even further into this, and then now you ask him to be sort of that a douchebag Captain America or do-gooder like that, you know, will do anything. Even doesn't matter how many people he's got to kill to get it. I can kind of see John Cena just being in that role so easily, honestly. Like, maybe it's just some of the things that I've seen from John Cena over the years in WWE, some of his comedies, things that I have seen him do from SNL to certain movies. I feel like if you have somebody that's so good like James Gunn, I think that this could be just a really great matching for them to really tap into something for John Cena to really sink his teeth into and really make a character that's going to be his own. And I really can't wait to see what he's going to do here, man. So there's a part of me that really rooting for John Cena here, because I do think that he's in a perfect opportunity.
Mm-hmm. I'll say this. So there aren't that many John Cena movies I've seen that I can think of. Like, maybe one will pop in my mind later on, but as of now, I can't really think of any actual John Cena movies I've seen. But I have seen, you know, a few wrestling shows with him in it, because you know, a lot of my friends are like really into wrestling, and I do think he has that personality, which is funny because, you know, like watching him in Hasbro Pulse, like, he's totally not like his wrestling persona at all. He actually does seem like a nice dude, but
yeah, he does.
He's such a douchebag in wrestling, like, but in that like kind of you know, douchebaggy kind of way where it's like he's somewhat aware that he's a douchebag, but he thinks it makes him cool to be that way. And I feel like that's what I think of when I think kind of like of a douchebaggy Captain America. So I do think that if there's any role for him that's going to work to his strengths, this is the role. So, you know, in that sense, yes, I do think, you know, I'm like, you know, like I'm still not at the level where I'm hyped yet. Cause like I said, I still do want to see Suicide Squad first, but you know, I do think that knowing James Gunn, how much of a genius he is when it comes to knowing who to cast for what type of role specifically, willing to take those big risks, like, you know, like you mentioned Dave Bautista and then Chris Pratt too. I think like putting him as Star-Lord, like, yeah, that definitely took, you know, a lot of like
he came over from
confidence.
From Parks and he came over from Parks and Rec. That's what he was known for, right? This television sitcom, if you will.
Exactly. You know, you take the chubby guy from Parks and Rec, and you have to like have confidence not only that he's going to do a good job, but that he's going to like bulk up for the role as well. And you know, all of it turned out to be amazing. So yeah, I think it's kind of the you know, same thing with John Cena. I feel like, you know, knowing James Gunn, he is the kind of person I would trust to, you know, when he says, hey, I have the perfect role for John Cena. You know, if I was an executive producer at Warner Brothers, I'd be that kind of guy that goes, you know what, I'm taking your word for it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I definitely would. You know, and this continues to fascinate me too, Stuart, because this will technically be DC's and Warner Brothers' second spinoff series from a movie that they're creating before we've even seen the movie itself, right? Like we've gotten the Batman that's being done by Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves is also creating a television series for HBO Max in the Gotham PD series that we're going to be getting. And now we see that they're doing the same thing, a spinoff series coming out of a movie going straight to HBO Max. One, super beneficial for HBO Max to be the recipient of all this new content, if you will. But what do you think about that? Like, it feels very much like a different approach to how Marvel's doing it with the Disney Plus series. But do you think this is going to become sort of the new norm for Warner Brothers and stuff going forward?
If it's successful, then yes. I think one big difference though between DC right now and the Marvel shows coming to Disney Plus is I like that how for both the Batman and for Suicide Squad, they have the directors on board with the spinoff shows. And what gets me excited about that, one thing I always look forward to when watching like a fantasy film of some sort or just any sort of fictional film, I always love world building and lore. I always love it when you feel like the directors, you know, even if we're not focusing on it, you can definitely tell the writers and directors like have a backstory for everything. Like, you know, that like, you know, all these characters that don't necessarily give enough get as much screen time as other people. You know, you could tell that directors put like a lot of thought into those characters, you know, for those little bits and pieces for when they are on screen. One good example, did you ever see Blade Runner 2049?
I have not. Sorry.
I will say this, do yourself a favor and watch Blade Runner 2049.
It looks good. I love Harrison Ford and Ryan Gosling, so
they were great in that film, but the director of this film, you know, did so much world building, you know, because, you know, it's 30 years between this and the previous film. And there's so much world building that went into this that he had like 3 short films that came out right before this movie came out. You know, he had one anime film. I think that was like about 12 minutes.
He worked on?
Huh? Yeah, that he wrote. Yeah, all 3 of them.
Okay.
I don't know if he directed them, but he definitely wrote them. And then he had a spinoff with Dave Bautista's character, and then a spinoff with you know, Jared Leto's character. And it really showed that when he made this movie, when he wrote it, he really had backstories for like everything going into this. And that's the vibe I get when I hear that Matt Reeves is doing a whole spinoff just about the police department in Gotham. And then, you know, you got James Gunn doing a spinoff just on John Cena's character from Suicide Squad. It really feels like, you know, these are directors that really put a lot of thought, not just into the script, but to the world that they take place in.
That's a really great point, man, that you brought up, that the people that we're seeing their vision on the big screen are also sharing their vision for these television series. So the fact that they have all this stuff planned out and they know this world and they're getting to be able to build that for us, that is pretty incredible. Because I'm like you, maybe that's a reason why I'm a sucker for flashbacks sometimes, because of the fact that I love just the additional world building that it can sometimes provide, or for the growth for not only that world but the characters in general and things like that. So to be able to explore those worlds coming from those same directors that are having their vision told. Yeah, I think that's super important, and it just kind of just validates one of the reasons to watch the show, if you will. So yeah, that's definitely a great point that you wind up making there. But guys, listen, we want to know your thoughts in regards to this. Now that you know that John Cena's getting himself a Suicide Squad spinoff series called Peacemaker coming from James Gunn himself, definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts. And honestly, I hope that this is something that Warner Brothers certainly continues to do with some of their movies. Like if they really feel as though they've got a great movie on their hands and they want to further explore it, I think why not utilize HBO Max? Again, if you guys don't have HBO Max, I think it's really starting to showcase its worth and its value already, with just some of these huge announcements along with what they already have on board. So I'm loving the trajectory here of where we're seeing Warner Brothers and Disney going with the idea of expanding their movie or cinematic universes, if you will, to television series. I'm loving the concept, man. And like, who would have thought that like movies these days, like television series these days, Stuart, would be as big as movies, man? Because that's really what it's starting to feel like.
Yeah, I fully agree. I always knew like television would eventually get to an area where a season could have like a budget of a full-length feature. I never thought that we'd get to the point though where individual episodes can have like the budget of a full-length feature, and that's what it feels like we're really getting into with these not only upcoming HBO Max series, but of course, you know, with Disney Plus and everything like that.
And then, yeah, and even just the idea of seeing these big name directors and writers getting attached to these series, right? Because I feel like maybe 10, 15 years ago, you would never think that, oh, that person would never make a television series, right? He's simply just a film director. And now we're getting the opportunity to see these film directors making these series, whether it's directing them or writing a few episodes. It's impressive, man. It's making for some great television these days.
Agreed.
But guys, definitely let us know your thoughts in regards to the Peacemaker spinoff series. And we're going to go ahead and continue here with another DC movie news for you guys today. Listen, one of the movies that another one that we've been waiting for years. I'm pretty sure I hit puberty when this movie was announced. Black Adam. We've been waiting years for this movie to come out. We finally wind up getting ourselves a DC fandom panel a couple of weeks back that started getting us some concept art, some really great ideas in regards to what the Black Adam series is certainly going to become going forward. So one of that particular movie in Black Adam showcased a few of the Justice Society of America characters that we were going to be introduced to and debuted in that particular film. And one of those particular characters was in fact Hawkman, a character that I'm really looking forward to actually seeing a live action version of, and we finally have a cast in regards to who's going to be playing Hawkman here. This actually comes to us from The Wrap, letting us know that for the Black Adam movie, Aldis Hodge is in talks to play Hawkman in the Dwayne Johnson superhero movie. Now, I know the article itself says in talks, but Aldis Hodge has in fact come out and confirmed his casting on his IG page. He did go ahead and confirm it, kind of, you know, thanking everybody for their support and things like that. So it's happening, guys. Aldis Hodge is in fact going to be playing Hawkman in the upcoming Black Adam movie. It says Leverage star Aldis Hodge is in talks to play the role of Hawkman opposite Dwayne Johnson in Black Adam, DC and New Line's highly anticipated superhero movie, according to an individual with knowledge on the project. Hawkman is the name of several DC comic heroes, but the best known versions are the original incarnation in the 1940s and rebooted version back in the 1960s. It says the 1940 character was the alter ego of archaeologist Carter Hall, who discovered he's the reincarnation of an ancient Egyptian prince cursed and murdered by an evil priest. The 1961 version reimagined him as Qatar Hall, an alien from the planet Thanagar, whose costume is the uniform worn by his world's police force, the Wingmen. So it looks as though we finally have and it looks like this is one of the concept arts that we wind up getting from the DC fandom. It's just I believe it was back in August or beginning of September, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah. guys, we have our Hawkman, guys, Aldis Hodge. Stuart, let me go to you first here, man. Now that we're finally starting to get ourselves some development in regards to Black Adam, we're starting to see casting reveals certainly are being made. I wouldn't be surprised here within the next couple of weeks if we see the remainder of the Justice Society cast also. I can't quite remember when they said production was going to start on Black Adam, but I got to think it's going to be relatively soon. If not this year, then maybe the beginning sometime, I would think, hopefully, of maybe 2021. I can't quite remember, but it's glad to see that we at least have some of the casting announcements. What are your thoughts, though, specifically on Aldis Hodge? Do you think he's a good casting choice here? Have you liked maybe some of his past work? What are your thoughts in regards to him being our on-screen representation of Hawkman?
It's so funny because when you originally sent me this article, I was just like, who is that? And I had to look him up on IMDb. And he does like a lot, though. Like, so he's in a lot of different projects. Like, I've never seen Leverage specifically, but it's really funny because he's in a lot of projects, but he's always doing like kind of the smaller roles, essentially. But I'm like looking through his IMDb again just to double check on these. But yeah, I have seen him in a few of these, like Invisible Man.
Yeah, that's right.
I thought he was really good in that movie.
Yeah, I thought he was too.
Yeah, even if his part was like definitely like not small, but not like that significant. But then oh shoot, there was another one I had completely forgot it was him in, and shoot, oh yeah, here we go. It was he was in an episode of Black Mirror, the Black Museum, where it was like the kind of anthology episode of an anthology show. Yeah. Yeah, so he's definitely a really good actor. He's just never like in anything that I've seen him in, he's never had like the big role in any of these things. So yeah, I do think him playing as Hawkman will definitely be a way to really show off what he can really do. And then I'm sad Indy can't hear me say this because I know this would piss him off.
Oh, I'm sure he's listening.
But I really hope he is. You know, he's definitely going to be a lot better than the guy from Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh no! Well, listen, man. I listen. I can't lie. I personally wasn't the biggest fan of the Legends of Tomorrow guy myself. Honestly, I mean, you know, cool for his stint on a television show, but I you know, for me, maybe I just never seen him on anything else other than that. So I don't really know how far reaching his ability certainly is, but yeah, I just wasn't the biggest fan of him. Like I liked Hawk Girl more than I certainly liked him. I thought I just looked at him as a cock blocker for Cisco the whole entire time. I was like, who is this guy? Get this guy out of here. So yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan here, but I will say you're absolutely right in regards to Aldis Hodge. Like, he is one of those actors that when he comes on screen, you're like, oh, I know that guy. Like, you immediately recognize him, and you've seen him in like a ton of movies as like a supporting role character or whatever the case may be. But I've never really seen him so much as like in the lead role, and maybe that's just because I haven't seen too much of his work. But when you mention those movies and series that he's been, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I do recall him being in that, honestly. So but he definitely is that standout in regards to, like, when you see him on screen, you immediately recognize that guy, like, oh yeah, I've definitely seen him before. So a solid actor for sure. I will say this, I want to give him the utmost faith in being able to do this role. I want to see exactly what he's going to bring to it. I will say probably not my first choice for who I certainly would have cast as Hawkman, just because I guess for me, I thought that they probably would have gone with a bigger name. But I think Aldis certainly could do the job for this for sure. I think for me, probably wasn't going to be my first choice, but I do like the opportunity that this provides to him. I mean, the fact that they're bringing him to work alongside somebody like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to have that significant role. I mean, Hawkman is no like character to just sleep on, right? I mean, if you're being in a DCEU movie and you're getting the opportunity to be a member of the Justice Society, like, you better believe that this is going to be one of his hugest roles that he's ever been in his life. And so I think this is a great opportunity for him, and I really want to see him knock it out of the park. Again, probably not my first choice, but I do think that Aldis is certainly more than capable of doing this role justice, and I really want to see him expand on his chops. Like, I hope that it's more than just a fight sequence for him in here, you know? Like, I don't want to just see The Rock beat everybody's ass and like the all-out battle. I would like to see, hopefully, him have them have a significant role, I should say, in this movie.
Oh yeah, no, I feel like the way that they're going to write the JSA is that they are going to be the heroes, but they're also going to be an antagonist because they're going to stand against Black Adam, of course. But I think it'll be just kind of like a moral thing on doing the wrong thing for the right reasons or doing the right things for the wrong reasons type of a thing. So yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see that dynamic with just all the JSA and Black Adam all together to see how that all plays out. So I think him as Hawkman is a interesting choice, and it's hard to say for sure because like I still don't know quite like how big of a role he plays, but I do agree with you. I hope it's not just for a fight scene. I hope like with all the JSA members, I hope they all have like their speaking roles, and I hope they all play like a decent part into the film.
Yeah, I do too, and I do wonder what route they're gonna go for this character. Like, are we gonna get the Carter Hall archaeologist version? Are we gonna be getting like the the alien race sort of Hawkman version? I would be fascinated to see which one that they would explore. I don't recall them mentioning that in the DC fandom, but I would be fascinated. Do you have a preference that you would like to see?
I guess I'd prefer the alien version just because I think then if they open up that door, it leads to possibilities of that being a future Justice League movie when I forgot what they were called, that alien race.
Oh, the Thangarian. They just said it in here. Let me
Thangarians, yeah,
or something like that. Yeah, Thanagar.
Yeah, Thanagar was the name of the planet. Yeah. Okay, cool. So Thanagar, like if Thanagar invades Earth like they did in the Justice League cartoon series, I feel like that would make a really good Justice League movie.
Yeah, I mean, I also am a big fan of the I am a big fan of the concept of reincarnation also, so I wouldn't mind seeing that. Yeah, I can't remember when did they say this movie was going to take place? Do you recall the year? Was it going to be back like in the 40s? Because if it is going to be in the 40s, I can definitely see it being the archaeologist Carter Hall. I think that might be the route that they're probably going, but who certainly knows? But either way, I would certainly be up for either or, because I do like your idea, right? We just talked about the idea of world building and creating more to a lore. The idea of maybe be able to introduce this sort of alien race in this movie would be a pretty interesting concept. But if it is in the past, like I think the movie's supposed to be set like as a period piece. I think so. But if it is set back in the time, then yeah, give me the archaeologist version. I'll do that also.
Yeah, I don't think they've given a specific date yet, but that could change later on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it will. So at least it looks as though we're at least getting ourselves the first signs of life when it comes to this Black Adam movie actually being put together. Again, I'll believe it when they're actually in front of the cameras. But I'm loving to see here that we're starting to pick up some momentum and more information continues to come out in regards to it. But guys, listen, we have ourselves Hawkman, ladies and gentlemen, another addition to the Justice Society of America. Let me know your thoughts in regards to Aldis Hodge being cast as Hawkman in the live stream or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. Stuart, sometimes 2020 is just not our season, man. It's just not our year. I think plenty of us are waiting for 2021 to certainly get here sooner rather than later. But this means that we get a ton of bad news, unfortunately. And listen, if you're a DC television fan, like a lot of us here certainly are, it's never easy to say goodbye to yesterday and Supergirl also. But unfortunately for us, we did get some sad news here that one of our DC television shows in Supergirl is unfortunately coming to an end. That's right. We got to say farewell yet again to another Arrowverse show that was really the trifecta, if you will, of the original Arrowverse, starting off with Arrow, then giving us The Flash, and then rounding off with Supergirl, played by Melissa Benoist, who's been around for quite some time now. But this comes to us from Deadline, letting us know that Supergirl is unfortunately set to end with the upcoming 6th season on the CW. The article does say that Supergirl will be taking her last flight. The CW and producers, Warner Brother TV and Berlanti Productions, just announced that the drama series starring Melissa Benoist will conclude with the upcoming 6th season, set to appear on the CW in 2021. It is the second series from the DC's Arrowverse to come to an end following Arrow, which wrapped its 8-year run last season. Production on all 2020 to 2021 broadcast series was delayed by the pandemic. Additionally, Supergirl had been targeting a later date of start of production to accommodate the pregnancy of Melissa Benoist, who, congratulations to Melissa Benoist and Chris Wood. They actually just had their first child. So yeah, they did have a son, if I'm not mistaken. So they just announced it to the world. So yeah, congratulations to them. But the article does say, I hear the series is slated to begin filming in Vancouver next Monday, September 28th. So that's actually tomorrow, pending the deal with the local unions, yada, yada, yada. It does say the series would initially be filming around Benoist, who would join the production later, is what they heard. But they say that between the delays and Supergirl's downward ratings trajectory, I hear producers, the studio, the network, and Melissa Benoist came to a decision that it was better to end the show with a longer final season. So it says the creative team has started developing the series for the final 20 episodes. The order is expected to be longer than most broadcast series this coming season, including the CW scripted shows, which will launch in January. First off, Stuart, now that I read that last comment, it makes me feel as though now, because of the late filming for a lot of these shows, does that mean we're only going to be getting like 15 to 16 episodes for the upcoming season? So that fascinates me, that Supergirl will at least be getting 20, and they're considering that longer than certainly expected. So yeah, so the creative team is starting to develop the storyline for the final 20 seasons, and they eventually will be picking up filming for Melissa Benoist's parts here rather soon. But Stuart, it's an end of an era here. 2 out of the 3 of our trifecta, our trinity, if you will, for DC television shows is coming to an end. How did this news hit you? Is it something that was shocking, surprising, and just what are your thoughts in regards to the departure of this show?
This is going to sound like a really weird take, but so hear me out. I oftentimes, when it's a show I like and I find out it's ending, there's usually a sign of relief for me for 2 reasons. I feel like one of 2 things always happen with television shows. They either end on a really terrible cliffhanger because they end up getting canceled, or they just drag on long enough, or they drag on so long that it's just like no longer fun to watch. Or in the case of like one of my favorite shows, Angel, it does both. So with Supergirl ending this upcoming season, like, don't get me wrong, it's sad to see another show that I really like leaving us, but at the same time, the fact that I get to see the word "end" in that headline, makes me happy, because now I know that it's going to have a conclusion. It's not going to be another one of those things where it ends on a really annoying cliffhanger and we never get to find out what actually happens next, and you're kind of, as an audience member, forced to just put together in your head. So yeah, I mean, it is definitely sad to let it go, but at the same time, I feel like Supergirl has had a really good run, and and I do think that this is a good time to end it, as we now get another now that we have a Superman TV show coming on. I think that now makes the most sense to end it now anyways.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there, man. I mean, it is one of those things where it is always great to know that your show is at least ending and not completely canceled, right? Like, even though technically the show is being canceled because, I mean, the network and everybody decided, okay, let's go ahead and cut it. It's at least knowing that it's getting the opportunity to end, and on a good note. So the fact that everybody came around and came up with this plan and decided on ending the series, I think is a smart move, because now it does go ahead and at least give them that opportunity to write it accordingly. We don't have to worry about that cliffhanger that leaves us wanting more. Like you said, we were probably going to finally get ourselves a proper ending to a series that I personally have come to really enjoy. Now, the one thing that I've said before is that, I know that Supergirl isn't probably you know, the best show out there in regards to the other DC television shows. There certainly are other ones that I enjoy, but there is such a really great charm to these characters that I've been a big fan of. I really do love the chemistry of this whole entire cast. I honestly think that the storytelling has improved as the series have certainly gone on. You know, I think the move from CBS to CW was one of the best things that this show certainly could have had done for itself, being in the hands of people that know how to kind of create this show. And I've loved seeing Melissa Benoist kind of come into this role of Kara Danvers and truly be Supergirl. I mean, just even seeing Melissa Benoist's sort of appreciation of the impact that she's had on little girls and on women in general, I think is really telling for who the Supergirl character is. And I hope that she continues to stick around eventually, right? Like, I'm hoping that this isn't the complete end for her and she's like walking away. I'm hoping that maybe we can kind of get her back from time to time for maybe some big cameos or some crossovers, if you will. But you know, maybe the future certainly holds something else for Supergirl. But this is a little bit heartbreaking for me because of the fact that I was such a big fan of the cast, loved everybody's chemistry and things like that. I know exactly how hard they all the work that they put into it, and so that kind of stuff is really heartbreaking for me. But you know, it does feel very much like an end of an era here. Like, now that Supergirl's going to be gone, I'm hoping that a show like The Flash continues on at least for a couple other seasons, and specifically utilizes that platform to really establish more well-known characters or characters that are going to have huge influences for the Arrowverse to kind of pick up those roles that are being left behind by Arrow and Supergirl and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see what this means for Arrowverse certainly going forward. Who's going to kind of step up to the plate to kind of be now that tentpole figure, if you will, with her leaving. But you know, Melissa Benoist, I think, did a fantastic job, man. I think John Cryer as Lex Luthor was fantastic. Like, there's so much about this show that I don't want to see end, like the relationship between Kara and not Alex, Lex Luthor's sister. Why am I drawing a blank now all of a sudden? Lena. I cannot wait to see how this story certainly wraps up and really where it leaves the Supergirl character at the end of the day. Because, Stuart, you know, the one thing I've been asking for is, can I get me a Legends of the Superhero spinoff, please? Like, I really would love a spinoff series of Legion of Superheroes. I really want a Legion of Superheroes spinoff series. I really would love to see something like that. But yeah, at least we're keeping a superhero show around, or a super show around, I guess you can say, with Superman and Lois certainly picking up. But it is going to be hard for me, at least, to certainly say farewell. But I'm glad that we at least have one more season. And they know how they're ending it off specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I 100% agree with you with all of that. You know, because Supergirl was definitely not one of my favorites of the Arrowverse, because to me the show just had like a weird thing of just constantly, kind of like Arrow, Arrow itself, you know, has a thing of just constantly going up and downhill for me. But yeah, I do think that, you know, I didn't love season 5. I just thought kind of season 5 was okay. But now with the writers kind of going into this, knowing that it is their last season, I do think we're going to get like another really good season out of this show. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be like I'm hoping for a memorable finale. And I'm also hoping this isn't the end of her Supergirl, like in the Arrowverse. Like, you know, I do hope that for next year specifically, because next year is supposed to be like, you know, the Arrowverse will have been around for 10 years. So I'm hoping, like, you know, the next year crossover, she's willing to come back, you know, even if that is the last time we see her. It would be kind of nice to have like a full on Justice League for like a 10-year anniversary type thing.
That would be pretty cool, man. Give me Starro, man. Give me some Starro. I would love to see the Justice League kind of form together for one of their first big villains. But yeah, I do hope that she winds up returning for a Supergirl in some capacity, man. Because I can't believe it's been 10 years, Stuart, or at least it will have been 10 years. That's so crazy to me.
Yeah, it's really weird to think about.
So we'll see what happens, man. But you know, and I agree with you. Like when it comes to the Supergirl series, it definitely was a roller coaster ride for sure. Like it wasn't always great, you know. Like there definitely wasn't. I've never really considered it like a great show, but there have been moments where I've really enjoyed the series myself personally. But it definitely not without its hiccups and its ups and downs and bumps in the roads in a sense. But there are some times when it does really nail some really great storytelling. And I think I really was always a big fan of Melissa Benoist. I think she's fantastic. Again, the cast is just so perfect for me in regards to just seeing them on screen and things like that together. So a part of me is hoping that hopefully they'll stick around. I know you had mentioned the idea of maybe David Harewood is Martian Manhunter sticking around and maybe popping up in Superman and Lois from time to time. I believe you mentioned that, right?
Yes, that would be really cool, along with just, you know, any of the side characters in general. I'd love to just see them like sprinkled in like the Arrowverse, like as guest star roles every once in a while. You know, especially him, because I think he's probably my favorite character from Supergirl. But, you know, the other characters as well. I wouldn't mind seeing some more Alex in Superman as well. And then I think I would love it if Brainiac moved to Legends of Tomorrow. I feel like he would fit in with that cast and crew like perfectly. So if the actor still wants to stick around, I hope like you know, the CW kind of you know, uses their noggin and they go, hey, you know, let's just move him over here.
Yeah, because I have been wondering like who's the next heroes and like who's the next group to be moved over to Legends for the upcoming season. So yeah, I wouldn't mind if maybe some of those characters move over, even if it's, you know, Martian Manhunter, if John winds up joining Legends or something like that. Like I don't know. I do like your call though on Brainiac. I do think that would be a perfect fit for him, honestly. I mean, who's know, maybe Magan will have a bigger role, right? We saw her pop back up every once in a while. So I'm hoping that they keep around some of these characters for sure. Like for me, I think my two choice would be continue to please let me have John Cryer as Lex Luthor in some form or another, please. I would love to see Alex kind of come back also. I think those, and you know what, maybe give me James Olsen. I wouldn't mind if Mekhi Brooks wanted to go ahead and come back and pop up in a Superman series also. I'd be down for that as well.
Definitely.
But let us know, guys, your thoughts. Again, sad we have to say farewell to Supergirl, but at least we're finally getting ourselves 6 seasons. And, you know, listen, you know, people have pointed out the fact that a lot of television shows these days don't even get 6 seasons of television, right? I mean, how many Netflix series have we seen ended on season 3 or not even make it to 5 seasons or whatever the case may be? So I'm super thankful that we did get Supergirl for the time being. And again, it's a really charming show to me and something that I think definitely I feel like the impact will be felt of not having Supergirl in the Arrowverse for sure. But for me, it'll be fascinating to see who steps up and who characters they develop to take those roles going forward. I'm trying to see, is there anything else? No, I think that's who you got.
It's funny you bring up Netflix because, yeah, you bring up a good point about how, yeah, not a lot of shows do go on for 6 seasons. And then you get like Netflix, which is just so bizarre. Like, hey, our show just won an Emmy. Okay, cancel it the next day.
Yeah, poor Dark Crystals, man. Poor Dark Crystals.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wound up getting canceled. And they literally won an Emmy for their show. And all
they literally canceled it the day after they won an Emmy for it. Like, that was just mind-blowing to me.
Maybe somebody will pick it up.
Hopefully.
We'll see what happens. But guys, let us know your thoughts. What do you think this means for the Arrowverse certainly going forward? Would you love to see Melissa Benoist certainly come back as Supergirl at some particular point in time? Definitely go ahead and let us know your thoughts. And again, congrats to Melissa Benoist and Mon-El himself, Chris Wood, on the birth of their child. So other than that, Stuart, I think that is probably going to do it for us today. Quick announcement for you guys, though, since we were talking about the DC television shows, production has begun or will be beginning soon on a couple of the other shows. We already know Batwoman is currently in production right now. The Flash is slated to begin filming October 1st. Legends of Tomorrow is set to begin filming October 5th. So it looks like the beginning of October 5th. It says Superman and Lois, along with the Titans, is eyeing mid-October filming also. Stargirl end of October, and Doom Patrol expected to start production in January. So a ton of DC stuff beginning production in October and in the beginning of January for Doom Patrol. So hopefully we're able to get all that in production, is able to go smoothly, and everybody's able to be safe and be cautious, cautious out there. Everybody stay safe for sure. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for us in regards to the news articles this week. So we're probably going to go ahead and jump into some live viewer questions for you guys now. So let's go ahead and jump into the live comments and see. Let's go ahead and pick out some comments here.
Supergirl ending. Who would you like to see her take her place on the Justice League? For me, I would still really like to see a CW version of Wonder Woman, but at the same time, I also don't think they necessarily need to replace her. Assuming that they're doing these, crossovers sparingly, I feel like, Melissa Benoist would be willing to come back for them.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too. Like when I think of the Justice League here, I don't think of just the top 7. I feel like this is more on lines of like Super Friends, that it's a case of, hey, we've got this huge round table. People can come in and out whenever they want to. I mean, granted, they do have their names on there, but, just throw in another chair. You know what I'm saying? You don't got to kick one chair out sort of thing. I always felt like, even though they may not be the main 7 at that time, they're always sort of those reserved members. You know what I'm saying? That when they come back, they're immediately part of the Justice League. You just know, so I don't think there's an either or. I think it's more or less like, let's just add more people to it. So like, I honestly don't think that this is the end of Melissa Benoist. I feel like she understands her impact as the character and has loved this particular role. And I know she probably, she's going to want to be a mother and enjoy that life. But it's like, hey, we get a crossover event. You want to come back and film for a couple of weeks? Okay, why not? Chris, watch the kid. You're a superhero. You got this, Dad. And so, like, I can see her coming back. So I don't think it's the end of Melissa Benoist as Supergirl. So let's not replace her. But if anything, I do like the idea of maybe adding a Wonder Woman. I think that would be a really great addition. And you know what? Hey, man, give me a John Diggle Green Lantern. I would love to see him. I would love to see him in there. I don't know how a CW-led production special effects show would look for Green Lantern, but if he wants to jump in there, why not?
As long as it kind of same thing like I mentioned with like her being in the crossovers. As long as they use the Green Lantern character sparingly, I think the CW, if they manage their budget correctly, they could pull it off. It wouldn't look, don't get me wrong. It's, don't be expecting it to look like the Green Lantern TV show coming to HBO Max, but I don't think it would look bad.
I got you. Yeah, he might, if they could use it sparingly, for sure. I mean, he technically is a soldier, right? So it would be cool to see him kicking ass as John Stewart or as a Green Lantern, just hand-to-hand stuff too. So yeah, I think you might be onto something there. We'll see.
Then we got Forever Grin in the house.
And what's up, man?
This goes back to when we were talking about movie theaters reopening. He mentions, can't wait for Fast and Furious 9. I'm with you there, man. I love the Fast and Furious movies. They're so dumb, but in the best ways.
They're going to space, aren't they? I thought I heard Michelle Rodriguez come out and say that they were going to space. Everything's going to space, man. Tom Cruise is going to space. Vin Diesel's going to space. Come on, what kind of world are we living in these days,
man? What more could you want?
What's up, Shadow Nova? Good to see you in here, man. He's got a couple comments.
Yes, please, no period pieces would be a great time to explain Fury's absence. Yes, that actually makes a lot of sense. I feel like that's something that people bring up constantly about Phase 3 is like kind of the lack of Nick Fury. So, maybe that's one thing the show could explore is where he's been like the whole time, like during all of these events.
Yeah, that would be pretty like a catching up to the adventures of Nick Fury and this entire time. I mean, who knows? Maybe that's one of the reasons why he has been absent this whole time, right? Like maybe he's technically already been putting together this Secret Warriors all these years and we have no idea because maybe he knew of this sort of Skrull presence. Like, if anything, I think maybe this should come out maybe after Captain Marvel 2. Maybe the events of Captain Marvel 2 will set up what's happened in here. But yeah, I do like the idea of like maybe all this time during that absence, maybe that's the reason why we haven't seen him, is because he's been putting all this stuff together.
It could be he knows that a secret war is about to come, and he's trying to prevent it because he knows that for the most part, the Skrull as like a race are not evil. But I feel like, you know, because fans want to see Secret Wars, we're going to have some
bad apples
sooner or later.
Yeah, that's some bad apples in that bunch.
I feel like he's going to be like, his mission is going to be finding out where the actual evil Skrulls are and trying to prevent Secret Wars.
I would love that. I would love that.
Yeah. I feel like that'd be like one thing, is that if we got invaded by aliens, I feel like, you know, man, I'm trying not to sound political here when I say this, but I feel like it would be one of those things where it would be a war on the entire race and not just, you know, the ones invading us. So I feel like Nick Fury would know that, and that's what he'd be trying to prevent. Oh my gosh, that would be an amazing series if that ends up being what it is.
Nick Fury series, yeah, we got the plot for you guys. He says, do you think there's a possibility that Zack's version of Justice League could be released in theaters? That's a good question, Stuart. I mean, I think so. I would not be surprised. I know they say it's exclusively on HBO Max. Like, I can see it being on HBO Max for a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised if eventually they say, you know what, get the opportunity to see it now on the big screen, the way it was meant to be seen, and then make some more money. Because look, if you're spending all this money to put this together, while yes, I'm sure you benefit from HBO Max, you're probably going to get a ton of new subscribers. You're going to make money off of it. Double dip, man. If it's that good, at least, and you know it's that good, double dip and put it out in theaters. I'm sure some people would probably go out and see it, even if it's not going to make like $1 billion in theaters because of the fact that it's already been on HBO Max. I think why not try and make some extra income for it if it's already put together? Yeah,
I fully agree. I think it is actually a huge possibility. Because theaters do that kind of stuff all the time with their Fathom events. So I could see that definitely being like maybe a 1-night or 2-night event where, you know, parts 1 and 2 are released night 1, parts 3 and 4 are released the next night.
I do like that. Or maybe, you know, listen, I think they even talked about the idea that I thought I read in an article that they opened up to the possibility of, like, yes, they are cutting it down into a mini series, but that eventually they were going to release it also, I'm assuming on HBO Max though, as sort of a full length for, you know, for however people decide they want to go ahead and view it. So I think the fact that maybe they're even kind of formatting it that way also makes me think that, yeah, you might have that opportunity to just release it in theaters that way too, if you wanted to. So yeah, they may not announce it now, but yeah, I think if it's successful, there is a possibility. I'm not going to say never these days, Stuart, is the one thing that I'm learning for sure.
Especially when it comes to Hollywood. And we also got Anita joining us.
What's up, Anita? Good to see you. Yeah, man, like the idea of them announcing Michael Keaton in a Batman movie, I'm like, what the? In the Flash movie, I'm like, what the? Or what world am I living in all of a sudden?
Never thought that would ever happen.
Never thought that would happen. I'm living in a world of possibilities, man.
Forever again, shots fired. I think that was for NB, like saying, well, he's gonna be better than the guy that we got on the CW.
Poor Carter. Yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan. Forever Grin does also say here, he says, it's almost like Zack Snyder is DC's Kevin Feige. I think maybe when they first established it kind of felt that way. And not so much now, though. I feel like if anything, maybe that's Jim Lee and some other big head honchos, but that's what I'm kind of feeling is the guy now is probably Jim Lee.
Yeah, because it feels like they don't really want to have a Kevin Feige per se. Like they want, you know, one person. Yeah, they want someone like looking at the films overall, but I don't think they really want to have like plans or anything like that. I think right now they're happy with just letting directors make their own individual movies, and if like something gets set up like while that happens, cool, we'll take it. But if not, you know, it doesn't have to.
Yeah, I think I definitely think Zack Snyder used to be the DC's Kevin Feige for sure before everything unfortunately hit the fan. But yeah, I definitely agree with you there. But if there is anybody at the hierarchy, it's definitely Jim Lee and Walter Hamada, who are handling the reins now.
Then I'm still gonna call him Bacon and Sushi. We got Bacon and Sushi joining us.
Well, what's up, man? Good to see you. I was wondering if you were gonna jump in there. Let me see.
They are going to space with John Cena.
Oh, is he going to space with them too? Is he gonna be in there as well?
I wouldn't doubt it. Again, with how like the franchise is just not afraid to get weird, I am fully expecting, you know, something like maybe them going to space or something like that.
Yeah, you might be right. Man, you know what that means? If John Cena joins in, man, can we get a collision between John Cena and The Rock then?
It's not likely because I don't think we're going to see Dwayne Johnson in any of the mainline Fast and Furious movies anymore.
No, I think he's just going to do his own thing with the Hawkman stuff.
Yeah, it's like, and I don't know how much of this is true. I'm just going by what I hear from like, you know, other people that keep up with this kind of thing. But like supposedly sorry, not John Cena, Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel just absolutely hate each other now. And if you look at Fast and Furious 8, you can kind of tell they actually have all the scenes between the two of them. You'll notice that there's very rarely establishing shots because most of them were filmed separately with them like not even being in the same scene together.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. I didn't know that at all. Here, this will be our last question because I know we got to wrap up here soon. But this comes to us from AJ. Says my last minute viewer question. When you guys were kids, what do you think of the first Spider-Man film with Toby? Do you think we'll see small cameos in WandaVision? Okay, so let's do the first question first. When you were younger, what did you think of the first Spider-Man film with Tobey Maguire?
Oh my gosh, I loved it. Yeah, because you know I didn't get to see X-Men in theaters, so I think Spider-Man was the first superhero movie I saw in theaters.
Oh wow, really? Okay, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. I remember watching it, and I just remember thinking to myself, like, I loved, you know, I just remember I loved seeing Sam Raimi's vision. I always felt, at least maybe during that time period for comic book movies, it did such a good job of making it cinematic, but also making it feel very true to the comic book series. There was a lightheartedness about it. There definitely was sort of that Spider-Man fun, and I thought Tobey Maguire just did a really good job as Peter. I really believed him as the character, and I don't know. I thought it was just super charming. I thought it was just really, really well done from the action to the special effects, at least during that time period and whatnot. You know, the William Dafoe Green Goblin costume still kind of was like, not sure how I felt about it even then as a kid, but overall, I love what Sam Raimi established as that universe. I thought the first one was a really solid first film.
I will say this. I never minded the costume for the Green Goblin. I always thought it, you know, because the whole Spider-Man movie was super cheesy, so I didn't mind how cheesy the costume looked until I saw what the original mask was going to look like. And the original mask was amazing. And I'm actually kind of pissed we didn't get it.
I'll have to look that one up now. I had no idea, man. I'll look that up.
Exactly like the comic books. And it moved. Like cool. The eyes blinked and then the mouth opened up and had like the sharp teeth underneath. The reason I hear that
was like an animatronics mask kind of.
Yeah. The reason I hear that they didn't go with it was because they said it looked too scary and they really wanted kids to see this movie. And I'm like, kids like being scared. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, the idea of at least having a villain that looks frightening or at least intimidating, right? I think for kids, at least, like not super scary, but I think that definitely adds. You're right. Kids do like to be scared. So if they know that the villain is pretty menacing, it might have worked. And he also say, do you think we'll see small cameos in WandaVision or even just stock footage, even with the Black Widow movie? WandaVision, I think we're going to get a bunch of cameos. I know we already have like Kate Denning's character Darcy coming back. We got Monica Rambeau coming back, but this time as an older version of herself. Like, I'm pretty sure we'll probably get a couple people in there. Are there any cameos that jump out to you that you would like to see pop up in this series?
Pretty sure we're gonna get at the very least a cameo by Doctor Strange.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
Maybe we can get her sisters, Kate and Ashley Olsen, to pop up in here.
And I almost have zero doubt that we're at least going to have Quicksilver return.
Oh, that would be a great cameo. I do like that. Yeah, because I think you did mention that last time we talked about WandaVision. About the idea of Cena returning Quicksilver. That would be cool. That would be one cameo I honestly would really love to see. I don't know if we would have any other Avenger members outside of like you said, like Doctor Strange. So yeah, those would probably be some pretty good guesses. And Black Widow, I think a Jeremy Renner cameo would be pretty cool. I would love to see Hawkeye pop up in this movie.
Yeah, I feel like he's gonna pop up, even if it is for a small amount of time.
Yeah, I definitely hope so too. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and see. But yeah, definitely will be some cameos. But other than that, guys, I think that's probably gonna be it for us today, man. So hey, Stuart, thank you very much for being able to join us. I know Indy he contacted me saying that he was having some issues logging on, like his camera and stuff wasn't working. So he was having some issues today, but Indy was set to go ahead and join us today, guys. So in the live comments, man, show Indy some love and let him know you guys appreciate him at least trying to get in here today. So other than that, Stuart, man, thank you very much for certainly joining us today. Guys, we'll definitely be back next weekend, of course, for another weekly episode, of course, 11 a.m. Central Time every Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. But other than that, I think that's going to do it for us. Hey, Stuart, if people want to go ahead and reach out to you on social media, sir, where can they find you?
You guys can find me at TurboStu01 on Twitter, and you can also check out my YouTube channel, Turbo Studios.
Awesome, guys. And hey, listen, if you want to go ahead and find us on YouTube, again, we are at A+ Hero Report, APLUS Hero Report. Show your channel some love. Hit that subscribe button along with that bell notification so that when we do go live and drop brand new videos, you guys will certainly be notified. We do have a ton of upcoming brand new television series that's going to be dropping here soon. Also, we've got like Hellstrom, Swamp Thing, and things like that. Hopefully, our DC television shows come back in January. We'll definitely be providing reviews for you guys, so definitely look forward to that. But in the meantime, that's going to go ahead and do it for us today. If you want to follow us on social media, we're going to be right here at A+ Opinions, guys. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch for you gamers as well. But other than that, that'll do it. So do us a favor, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and of course, keep it A+. We'll talk to you later. Bye.